This is a shortened retelling of the story of Odysseus, as told in the Odyssey by Homer, presented to you by the spoken page. Hear now the story of Odysseus, son of Laertes, born to rule the rocky island of Ithaca. A man known among mortals and gods alike for his intelligence, his endurance, and his capacity to survive where others fall. A man shaped not only by war and wandering, but by choice, consequence, and the fragile balance between human will and divine power. The tale begins after the fall of Troy, after 10 years of war, when the Greeks finally destroyed the city through deception, not strength. Odysseus himself devised the wooden horse that ended the war, a reminder that cunning in Greek thought is as valuable as brute force. Yet victory did not bring peace. For Odysseus, the war was only the beginning. For 10 more years he would wander the sea, delayed by monsters, temptation, storms, and the anger of a god. All the other Greek leaders would return home. Only Odysseus would suffer so long. But the poem does not open with him. It opens in Ithaca, a land stalled in time. Odysseus has been gone nearly 20 years. No one knows whether he lives or dies. In Greek custom, a household without its master is vulnerable, and into that weakness step the suitors. They are young noblemen from Ithaca and nearby islands. They believe Penelope must choose a new husband, and whoever marries her will inherit Odysseus's kingdom. Yet they do not court her properly. They break the sacred law of xenia, hospitality, by overstaying their welcome, devouring livestock, drinking wine, abusing servants, and plotting violence. Their arrogance is not merely personal, it is religious. They offend Zeus himself, who is protector of guests and hosts alike. Penelope resists them with intelligence worthy of Odysseus himself. She promises to choose a husband once she finishes weaving a burial shroud for Laertes, Odysseus's aging father. By day she weaves. By night she unravels the cloth in secret. For 3 years she preserves the household through deception, until a servant betrays her. Their son, Telemachus, is now approaching adulthood. But without a father, he lacks confidence and authority. The suitors ignore his commands and mock his weakness. Yet within him lies the potential to grow into his father's role. On Mount Olympus, the gods observe these events. Athena, goddess of wisdom, war strategy, and crafts, favors Odysseus above all mortals. She admires his intelligence, his restraint, and his ability to adapt. She reminds Zeus that Odysseus has honored the gods faithfully. Zeus agrees. Odysseus's suffering must end. Only Poseidon stands against him. Poseidon, god of the sea, earthquakes and storms, hates Odysseus for blinding his son Polyphemus. In Greek belief, offending a god's family invites divine vengeance, no matter the justification. Athena descends to Ithaca disguised as a traveler. She speaks to Telemachus and awakens his courage. She urges him to seek news of his father, because knowledge is the first step toward power. Telemachus calls an assembly, asserting authority for the first time. The suitors laugh at him. Still, he leaves. His journey mirrors his father's, but in miniature. He visits Nestor, who teaches him respect for tradition and memory. He visits Menelaus and Helen, who describe Odysseus as cunning, patient, and irreplaceable. From them, he learns the truth. Odysseus lives. Meanwhile, the suitors plot to ambush Telemachus on his return. Now the story turns fully to Odysseus. He is trapped on the island of Ogygia with the nymph Calypso. She loves him and offers him immortality. Yet Odysseus refuses eternal life without meaning. To the Greeks, glory, family, and legacy matter more than endless existence. When Zeus orders Calypso to release him, she obeys, but reminds the gods of their hypocrisy. Male gods take mortal lovers freely. Female gods are punished for the same. Odysseus builds a raft with ritual care and sets sail. Poseidon sees him and unleashes a storm that embodies divine wrath itself. Odysseus struggles for days, clinging to wreckage, stripped of dignity, strength, and control. Only Athena's quiet intervention allows him to survive. He reaches the land of the Phaeacians, a people blessed by the gods and untouched by war. Their hospitality reflects the ideal Greek society. Nausicaa, their princess, finds Odysseus filthy and naked. Yet she treats him with restraint and respect, showing the balance between modesty and kindness expected of noble women. At a feast, Odysseus hears his past sung aloud. In Greek culture, poetry preserves identity. Hearing his story spoken causes him to weep. He reveals himself and begins his tale. He recounts the raid on the Siconus, where failure to control his men leads to loss. Leadership, the poem suggests, is as much restraint as command. He tells of the lotus eaters, whose fruit represents forgetfulness and the danger of pleasure without purpose. Then he speaks of Polyphemus, whose rejection of hospitality marks him as monstrous not just physically, but morally. Odysseus's deception saves his men, but his pride in revealing his name ensures his punishment. From that moment, Poseidon becomes his enemy. Odysseus tells of Aeolus and the Bag of Winds, a lesson in mistrust and human weakness. His men do not believe their leader. Curiosity and greed ruin them. He tells of the Laestrygonians, whose cannibalism reflects chaos beyond civilization. Then Circe, whose magic represents the loss of humanity through indulgence. Only discipline and divine guidance allow Odysseus to resist. In the underworld, Odysseus confronts mortality itself. He learns that even Achilles regrets glory without life. He sees Agamemnon betrayed by his wife and warned against trust without wisdom. These visions prepare him for return. The sirens symbolize knowledge without responsibility. Odysseus desires to hear them, but survives only through preparation. Scylla and Charybdis represent unavoidable suffering. Leadership means choosing the lesser evil. The cattle of Helios represent obedience to divine law. The crew's disobedience seals their fate. Only Odysseus survives because he alone respected the warning. Returned at last to Ithaca, Odysseus must reclaim not just his home, but his identity. Athena disguises him because justice must be deliberate, not reckless. Eumaeus represents ideal loyalty. Telemachus proves himself as a partner, not a child. Penelope's contest is both a test and a prayer. The bow symbolizes kingship, strength, and legitimacy. When Odysseus strings it, order returns. The slaughter of the suitors is brutal, but it is justice by Greek standards. They violated hospitality, plotted murder, and dishonored the gods. Penelope's final test confirms truth over appearance. The olive tree bed symbolizes rooted marriage and unbroken union. When peace threatens to collapse into endless revenge, the gods intervene. Human justice ends where divine order begins. Odysseus is restored, not as a flawless hero, but as a complete one. A man who endured, a man who learned, a man who returned.